What's good, gamers? We're back with another Elden Ring Nightreign showcase, and today I want to talk about the Duchess build I've been using since the Deep of Night has been released. Now, this build, I do think it's probably one of her strongest, if not her strongest DPS build. Essentially, we're going to be using poison, we're going to have all the attack power-ups on, and then we're going to use a weapon that is going to deal a lot of damage. Now, for most runs, that would be something like Carry and Slicer, but essentially, depending on the build that you're running for the Duchess, pick your poison. So that could be, you know, something that's Faith if you're running the Faith version. But yeah, essentially you want to find a weapon that does do a lot of DPS, like Carry and Slicer for the Duchess or Shattering Crystal. And once you've got the poison power-ups, essentially that's how you're going to get most of your damage. That's how you're going to get your damage output. Now I'll go through some of the numbers. So, as for the relics, you can see that we're using the Noster relic, which essentially gives you a poison on your starting weapon, which is obviously going to be really important. And then you get poison and rot power up when you proc the poison. That is 12% for 20 seconds. The rest of the relics is just essentially just use one that's got successive dagger attack reprise, because that will come in handy. Obviously, if you can use that with Hoarfrost Stomp. Now, Hoarfrost Stomp is great for not only debuffing enemies to make things like poison proc quicker, it also takes out groups of enemies a lot quicker. And when you're in things like Deep of Night, Depth 3 and above, being able to take out the trash mobs is going to be a lot easier than trying to fight them one-on-one with a poison dagger that's doing 20 damage, basically. So, if you can, use something like a Hoarfrost Stomp or anything that can take the enemies out without you having to get super close. And then the bottom one is essentially just for extra vigor and defeating the art enemies while the art is active. Now, that gives you an insane power-up. If you essentially go into your ultimate art, you go invisible. Every time you beat an enemy, you get a power-up. I think it's 15%. I could be wrong on that. I probably need to check the numbers. But yeah, those three relics are kind of important. Now, the next one are the Deep of Night relics. And essentially, you just want to stack attack power-up when facing a poison-afflicted enemy. Now, attack power-up when facing a poison-afflicted enemy, 0. So not a +1 or +2. That gives you 10% for as long as the enemy is poisoned, essentially. Then the next two, so +1 gives you a 16%, and then +2 gives you a 20%. And obviously, if you use that on top of the enemies being frostbitten, or you've done the ultimate art and you've, you know, destroyed enemies in the ultimate art to get the power up, you will be putting out insane numbers. I'll show you in some of the clips on the video here. So yeah, the reason why poison's good, because I think pretty much every boss, or at least every decent big boss, is susceptible to poison, unless they're obviously dead, because you can't poison dead things, I don't think. I might be wrong on that. I think the Ancestral Spirit can be poisoned. I'm not sure about the Deathrite Bird. But basically, any other semi-hard boss is open to be poisoned, which means you can get that attack power up on pretty much all bosses. Now, obviously, this could also work with the attack power-up with Frostbite. It might even be better with that, because obviously you get the Caligo relic, which means you can turn invisible and then, yeah, essentially just put out crazy numbers because you're invisible and no one can touch you. But yeah, attack power-up with poison. That's what I've been using for the Deep of Night. Hasn't failed me yet. I've got to Deep 5 with it. So yeah, if you like the build, give it a try. Let me know in the comments what you think if you do try it out. Just a heads up, the next few videos I've got coming out is going to be the one that got me to Depth 5, which was, that was with Wilder. That was probably my first and last run trying to get to Depth 5. I'll spend most of my time in Depth 3 and Depth 4 now, depending on what I'm doing, obviously. If I want a bit more of a challenge, I'll go Depth 4. If I'm trying out builds, I'll probably do that in Depth 3. But yeah, there's that one. I'm also going to be re-uploading a video where I discuss things I would like to be added into the future for Nightreign. I took it down because there was a few changes I wanted to make. And honestly, the numbers didn't do that well, so it's not really a big deal that it wasn't seen, so I can re-upload it without any problems. So that one will be coming out. And there's also the Evergel one that I've just done. Now, this one took me hours to actually make, like probably one of the longest videos I've ever actually made. And it hasn't really done that well, so if you do fancy learning about the Evergels and the rewards you can get and power tables in the game, feel free to go and watch that one. You would help me out massively. And yeah, gamers, that's all I've got to say. Catch you on the next one. Big love. Peace. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Are you saying bye-bye? Yeah, bye-bye.